Good morning and welcome, everyone. I am amazed that there are this many people here on Christmas morning. That's wonderful. Most of you know that we've been operating a homeless shelter on the cold nights, and yesterday afternoon in the children's program, the children made Christmas cards for the folks that were in our homeless shelter, and we took them to them. And so this morning I found this that they left for us. So, and we still have a couple of more nights, it looks like, of the homeless shelter. I should say houseless shelter, because they really do have a home. Our cold weather shelter, they do have a home. It's not a traditional home, but it is, and it doesn't work real well in this kind of weather, so that's why we do this. But we want to welcome you to this worship service, and there are turquoise pads on the rows. If you would feel moved to put down your names on that so that we kind of have an idea of who's here. If you're a visitor, we want to extend a special welcome to you and let you know that if you put down information and on that, we can send you the e-news so that you kind of know what's going on here if you want to come back in the future. So again, welcome everyone. Susie? Let me get it just a second. Okay, and then we'll light it. I'm sorry. We already did that. I forgot about that. You're right. I'm operating on 3 hours of sleep, so you'll have to forgive me. But we have all our folks that are with us online, and we want to welcome them also. So good morning to all of you, and we're so glad that you could join us this morning. And we light the Christ candle this morning. When we light the Christ candle, we are reminded of our call to be a source of love, justice, and mercy to all in need, and to be good stewards of all the earth.
young people are here, or people in their second infancy, to come forward and join us for the children's time. Jack's over here. I don't see Mr. Monkey. Oh, there he is.
Check my balance.
Oh, good, good, good. I think you're getting better at it, Jack.
Yep, could be.
Oh, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to you all. Oh, well, hello, Bummer Bear. How was your Christmas?
It was terrible. Well, now that's a surprise. I spent Christmas in my closet just to be safe.
Oh, dear.
I'm really sore. But like the song says, Christmas is a time to hide.
Whoa. Wait a second, Barbara. The song says Christmas is a time to love, not Christmas is a time to hide.
Well, I didn't want to be like poor Rudolph.
Oh, dear. What's wrong with Rudolph?
Haven't you heard the song? It says Rudolph had a terrible nosebleed.
Is
No.
that right, young people?
No.
No. The song doesn't say Rudolph had a nosebleed. It says he had a bright red nose. We can turn anything into bad news if we're not careful.
Well, Bummer, if Christmas wasn't too good, then maybe Easter will be better.
Oh, but what if they hide the eggs so well I can't find any? What if somebody has already bitten the ears off of my chocolate bunny? Oh, this is going to be the worst Easter ever. Rabbits don't like me.
Now wait, Bummer. Jack is a rabbit and he likes you.
Yeah, sure.
And Mr. Monkey likes you. Mr. Monkey, aren't you glad when Bummer is here? Mr. Monkey?
Well, listen, Bummer. Your life doesn't have to be that way. You can choose to give life a chance. I mean, Hortensia's right. Christmas is a time for love.
You'll have to ask Rudolph when he gets out of the hospital about that. And I know what it's like not to get to play any of the reindeer games.
Oh, please, Bummer. It's Christmas. We do get hurt by life sometimes, but when we leave our closets, we get to experience beauty and friends. And that's worth all the pain.
Golly, you're right, Hortense. Young people, let's promise one another that we will live and love and be brave this coming year. I mean, we can help each other find joy. Sometimes life hurts our feelings, but, all in all, it's a wonderful world, don't you think? Yeah, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Jim, can we sing a song?
I think they sided with Bummer Bear. Am I right?
They've already forgotten their Christmas goodies.
What's that? Mr. Monkey was very quiet. He's very introspective. Yeah, the script had Bummer Bear. I had to write one line for Mr. Monkey. Okay, this is our last chance to sing our Christmas song this year. And if I have a job next year, well then, we'll see. Okay. the song goes. Merry Christmas to you. Happy Hanukkah too. Feliz Navidad. Happy solstice too. Peace on earth and goodwill to all. Peace on earth and goodwill to all. Very good. Okay, we'll sing it twice. Y'all ready? Yes. Okay, yeah, this is the recording, and this is gonna launch our band. I think we're gonna finally get the please. Oops, stop it. Merry Christmas to you. Happy Hanukkah too. Feliz Navidad. Peace on earth and goodwill to all. Peace on earth and goodwill to all. Merry Christmas to you. Happy Hanukkah too. Feliz Navidad. Happy solstice too. Peace on earth and goodwill to all. Peace on earth and goodwill to all. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas,
Hey,
everybody.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Our centering time this morning is Where the Light Begins by Jan Richardson. Perhaps it does not begin. Perhaps it is always. Perhaps it takes a lifetime to open our eyes, to learn to see what is forever shimmered in front of us, the luminous line of the map in the dark, the vigil flame in the house of the heart, the love so searing we cannot keep from singing, from crying out in testimony and praise. Perhaps this day will be the mountain over which the dawn breaks. Perhaps we will turn our face toward it, toward what has always been always. Perhaps our eyes will finally open in ancient recognition, willingly dazzled, illuminated at last. Perhaps this day, the light begins in us.
I want to invite you to take a nice deep breath. And if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes or just soften your gaze. This morning, we'll spend the next minute or so just contemplating those things that are weighing on our hearts, those things that are close to us, those people or situations. You might even put your hands over your heart. I invite you to say a silent prayer for yourself, to lift a name up or a situation out loud as we listen to a little soft music just invite you to pray. May all these joys and hopes and concerns closest to our heart dance in the eternal flame, the light that burns and is always burning. Now I want to invite you. So last night, Christmas Eve, we were here for the children's Christmas Eve service, and our baby Jesus didn't want to lay in the manger. So I got to hold the baby Jesus. And I highly recommend holding babies if you need to feel joy. So I want to invite you, if you feel comfortable, just to make this gesture and to think now for the next minute, what do you want to nurture in this new season? What are those gifts that you want to offer the world? How do you want to let your light shine? Just give you a few moments to think about that. Great love, source of life, may all these things be so. Amen.
Our first scripture this morning comes from the book of Isaiah. Once more, the Holy One spoke to Ahaz and said, "Ask for a sign from the Holy One your God. Let it be deep as the netherworld or high as the sky." But Ahaz answered, "I will not ask. I will not put the Holy One to a test." Then Isaiah said, "Listen, O house of David. Is it not enough for you to weary those around you? Must you also weary my God? Therefore, the Holy One will give you a sign. This young woman will become pregnant and will give birth. You will name the child Emmanuel. This child will be living on curds and honey by the time it knows to refuse evil and do good. But before that time, before the child knows how to refuse evil and do good, the land of the two rulers you dread will be laid waste. However, the Holy One will bring upon you, your people, and your ancestral house a time unlike any seen since Ephraim seceded from Judah. It will be the time of the ruler of Assyria." And then our second reading comes from Matthew. All this happened to fulfill what God had said through the prophet. The virgin will be with child and give birth, and the child will be named Emmanuel, a name that means God is with us. Ancient words from our tradition for our present day consideration.
Well, thank everybody for turning out on Christmas Day. It's never our most populated time, so this is great. If you want to stretch out, we each have like 12 chairs, so this is our kind of first class seating. So we've been having a sermon series for about a month and a half or so, trying to link the sketches of Escher, those strange kind of surreal drawings that twist the mind, and the parables of Jesus. And we did about a month of that, and then we got into into Christmas. That's been my problem. But Christmas, the story has paradoxes all through it. Virgin Mother, light shining out of the darkness, the silent word. These are sort of like Buddhist koans. And what they're doing is trying to get past just thinking about life and living our cultured life and moving fully into the experience of being alive. And I truly believe that the symbols of Christmas are, you see them being borrowed from other religions, and they're kind of woven together in a kind of a tapestry. As I say, the sketches of Escher, I've been trying to work them in. Do we have one? Yeah, this is just kind of a normal kind of thing. And what I think of when I see this is the idea that we're both transcendent, like we come from the ground of being, the heart of the universe, whatever that is, and then we're physical beings. So I see him trying to put those two thoughts together. In a sense, Christmas is playing off the difference between our physical being and this kind of source out of which we come that's beyond our comprehension, it's beyond our senses. It's not something you can see or touch, and yet it's the cradle out of which we come and to which we return. The story we're looking at today is one we've kind of woven in and out of. It's the myth of the virgin birth. And I say myth because you can't look at the story. It's not consistent, right? You look at Luke on the one hand, you look at Matthew on the other hand, and it doesn't make any sense. Last night we told the story of them, following to get to David, to the city of David, because Joseph was from the lineage. But if he's not the father, that doesn't matter, right? The story breaks down. Symbols break down when you think about them logically. And the reason they do that is because you know how to think already, but to go deeper into who you are so that you feel the roots out of which you're coming, whatever those are in the universe, where you feel your expanse, the interrelatedness between your little life that you live and every other thing that's happening in the universe, that somehow there's a web that ties all of that together. And I really feel religion is trying not to give you thoughts that you don't have, but to take your awareness and deepen it and broaden it. I don't think it's any more complicated than that. I think when the Christmas story says there's a light shining out of the darkness, that's your consciousness, right? When you look at these ancient symbols and things, human consciousness is this miraculous shining of an energy from out of matter. That one way to look at it is say a spirit in human shape made the material world. But in the ancient world, the mysticism was that the physical world gives birth to the spiritual world. It grows, it emits out like a light. Again, the story, you can't take it literally. Like when they say, you should call the baby's name Emmanuel, they didn't call him that, right? They call him Jesus. But it's speaking symbolically. And Emmanuel means God is with us in Hebrew. which makes the song, O Come Emmanuel, really a paradox. Why would you have to invite something that's already here into your life? So we're going to be looking at another paradox today of this idea of the journey that we're on to get to here and now. This strange kind of quirk of human consciousness. We live in a time when the whole idea of being a sensitive person is ridiculed. They call you woke, right? If you care about another person's experience, you're ridiculed for that. And unfortunately, Christmas can be taken from two different narratives. One is this little baby, peasant mother, baby born outside the city in the dark, and the other is Herod's Christmas. And that's the way the church has gone, unfortunately, to side with power. The illegitimacy of Jesus is incredibly important in the Christmas story. It's incredibly important. And when you remove that and give the church over to moralists and power-hungry people, then the Christmas story never really happens because we're always in the wrong place. So this Christmas is a call back into the original story, siding with the outsiders, the poor, the wretched of the earth, undoing the cultural conditioning and brainwashing that makes us praise Jesus and serve Herod. Right? It's time to let that part of religion wither and die. So we're going to look at this story. I think the first thing that jumps out at me is part of what religion is doing is giving us a journey to here and now. That the solution to every koan is to wake up to where you are now, fully and completely. And I think the answer to every parable that Jesus told is to wake up to who you are in the here and now. So to realize that, I think, is very freeing. To not believe there's something that you're supposed to have that you don't have and the preacher's going to give it to you. I mean, y'all have gone through that disappointment already, right? If somebody doesn't lead you to your own heart, then they're misleading you. Whoever they are, whatever the tradition is. But the purpose of these symbols is to lead us profoundly and deeply into our own hearts. Life is very short. And when we don't live our own life, it's very disappointing. I don't know if anybody here remembers Irma Bombeck. She used to have like a kind of advice kind of column, kind of snarky little kind of thing. And at one point she said, seize the day, carpe diem, consider all of the women who waved off the dessert cart on the Titanic. That when we act as though we're going to live forever, we don't realize we're investing ourselves in life. We're like candles that if we don't burn, we've kind of wasted the trip. And you can't live by holding yourself back, which is what Jesus meant when he said, if you try to save your life, you lose it. Right? Life is something we give away. We give ourselves fully and hopefully joyfully to that enterprise. So the journey is always to here and now. And the true teachers are the ones who lead you to your own heart. If they don't do that, there's no point in listening to them. Because you have to live life from the inside out. But the second point is there's a paradox there in human awareness that the ancient mystics realized where you can't do that all the time. Right? You can't be aware all the time. That's not the nature of human consciousness. When something happens repeatedly, it moves to the background of your awareness. So a lot of what the parables are trying to do is kind of surprise you where you leave your habits of thought and come back into pure awareness. And when you do that, you're home. Right? When you realize that that's, when you're living out of your own center, that's home. So the song, O Come Emmanuel, is a contradiction, but it's a contradiction we have to live out, right? You can't be aware all of the time. It's the nature of human consciousness to move into habits and to move things that happen repeatedly in the background of the picture. So we do have to invite awareness into our lives. A lot of what spiritual meditation is, yoga, all of those things are bringing us to our own center. Things that get in the way are our habitual ways of looking, trying to make other people happy, trying to look at life through other people's eyes. And that can take a lifetime to realize that you're trying to make somebody happy who may be dead. That doesn't work very well. Those voices from your childhood can really mislead if they steal the voice that you've got. And the point is not, in the Christmas story, the point is not to believe in angels and that all this stuff happened physically, but to realize it's happening to you, just more subtly than you can realize. There's a great quote by Carl Jung, who I ran across in high school and just kind of fell in love with during those years. But he says this: there is no coming to consciousness. I'll read it twice. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. People do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So these paradoxes of Christmas, they don't work at the surface level because they're invitations to go deeper. There's a light in what seems like darkness to you. There's music in what seems like silence to you. There's a unity in what seems like isolation to you. Let me read it again and see if it's suggestive to you like it is to me. There's no coming to consciousness without pain. Right? Our physical, sensual lives are very important. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Too much of religion invites people into a magical world that you don't see, and stories of people walking on water, turning water into wine, doing this kind of thing. If we can realize that the world we live in is miraculous, and the miracles that are being talked about are the everyday common events that we walk by every day as though they weren't happening. So first point is that the journey is to here and now. Second is that does require pilgrimage sometimes. And the third thing is that we start with our own heart, but it has to open up to the whole world, to everything, or it's stillborn. It can't just stop with Christianity. It can't just stop with America. It's got to open up all of humankind to the web of life and to this cosmic process of which we're expressions. Christmas invites us to all of that, to feel all of that. The manger is a little kind of snow globe of our own soul. It's got animals in there. It's got misfits. It's got, celebrities. If I had to give a definition of like the Christian version of enlightenment, it would be falling in love with everyone and everything at the same time. I think that's really what Buddha's talking about, and that it's not just becoming smarter; it's feeling more intensely. Herod was the one that hunted immigrants. Herod was the one that was chasing after this family with a questionable birth. Herod was the one that was trying to control everything politically. A Christianity that does that is not Christmas. Right? That's not the story. We are being invited out of that religion and into a religion that's the best friend of humankind. There's another quote that I really like that says, Christmas reminds us we are not alone. We are not unrelated animals jouncing and ricocheting amid aliens, but are part of something which holds and sustains us. to know that Emmanuel is happening right now, that God is with us right now. The whole idea of Jesus coming back again doesn't make any sense because whatever's sacred is already here. But we have to use mythology to kind of trick our brains where we can be aware and receptive of that gift. It opens into justice, but it doesn't start with justice. It starts with love. It starts with compassion in your own personal heart. I love Howard Thurman's beautiful poem that he said, he was an inspiration for Martin Luther King. He said, when the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among humankind, to make music in the heart. Those are not separate things. Joy, justice, peace, those are not separate things. This inner enlightenment and this commitment to help other people not suffer, those are all one joyful journey that we're on. So we have one more sermon in this series. It's been long. I hope it's been helpful. To realize that the paradoxes of religion are not contradictions. They're parables of something deeper than we can think with our discursive mind. The idea of a virgin mother, the idea of a light in our own darkness. It's there, but we can't see it. The idea of a music that's playing even when we can't hear it. These things are invitations to the peace, the joy, the beauty that's already inside us, that we're distracted from, that we get lost from. The journey is always to here, but sometimes it takes a pilgrimage to get there, and then finally realize that it opens up to embrace the entire world. I want to close with one more quote. I had too many quotes today. I couldn't. I need to get a gardener to come clip my quotes out. Thoreau. I think this kind of summarizes. You must live in the present. Launch yourself on every wave. Find your eternity in each moment. Fools stand on their island opportunities and look toward another land. There is no other land. There is no other life but this, or the like of this, like of this. I wish to live ever as to derive my satisfactions and inspirations from the commonest events, everyday phenomena, so that what my senses hourly perceive, my daily walk, the conversation of my neighbors, may inspire me, and I may dream of no heaven but that which lies about me. So, we take a moment now for you to consider how you would understand these words. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Compassion for others, both locally and globally, inspires us to give. Sometimes our gift is our time and our energy, sometimes our talent, sometimes our resources. Our generous spirit expands our hearts and our horizons. Together, may our open hearts and open hands change us and help change the world. Will the ushers please come forward? Please rise as you're able.
You get extra credit for showing up for church on Christmas Sunday. Yeah. Yeah, you'll find out how much clout I have later. So thank you for that. I hope it was worth the drive, but you certainly were a gift to us this year, this time. And you were such a gift to the people that came in from the streets this week. Left the freezing weather because of your helping us build that wing to care for them and give them laundry and showers and all of that. So thank you for that. I think we may need Monday night. So if there's somebody who's free Monday night, you might want to think about the cold weather shelter, spending the night. I know that's really hard, but after COVID, we just lost the core leadership team. So this is really good to get that going again. I think if you've ever been lost in a mall and you saw a map, but they didn't have the "You Are Here" arrow on it, it's like you can have all the information in the world, and if you don't know where you're starting from. And I think that's sort of what the message of today is, that you have to start with the here and now. You have to start with your own heart. You have to look through your own eyes. And sometimes we're lost just because we're trying to see life as somebody else has told us it is. So when you do feel lost, that idea of returning to the here and now, coming to your own core, realizing that sometimes you have to trick yourself into awareness. You have to go through some kind of a practice or a pilgrimage or something like that to get to where you already are. And then finally realize that that's going to open up to compassion, the whole world. But know you are a gift, and as you go out into this week, every word, every deed changes the world. Never question that you are a light shining in the darkness, and know that you do make a difference. Again, thank you for being here. Go with peace.